How safe is the nation's blood supply? Not safe enough, says the Red Cross. Eastern Airlines tells retired employees, we owe you nothing. And Texas votes on allowing citizens to carry concealed weapons. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. The American Red Cross announced sweeping changes today in the way it screens donated blood for AIDS and other diseases. This follows growing concern about the safety of the nation's blood supply. CBS News health correspondent Edie Magnus has the story.
The Red Cross today officially ended what it admitted has been a patch and bandage approach to ensuring blood safety.
I'm announcing the total transformation of how we collect, process, and deliver 1/2 of the nation's blood supply. For because of the AIDS epidemic, nothing short of a transformation will be adequate.
Details of the plan include testing all blood at 10 regional laboratories, installing one national computer system, and creating a national donor deferral registry to try to keep infected donors out of the system. However, infected blood can still get through because of the AIDS window. For up to 6 months after infection, AIDS antibodies may not show up in a person's blood. All the Red Cross can do, if it finds out a former donor has AIDS, is look back to see if that infected blood went to anyone else. The Red Cross estimates the risk of such transmissions is around 1 in 150,000.
We're talking about life-giving blood. So obviously the advantages of receiving blood when you're desperately in need much outweigh that very small possible risk.
Today's announcement follows disclosures last month that the Portland Red Cross Center had released for shipment 3 units of infected blood. Threatened with shutdown, that facility says it has revised its procedures. The FDA plans a surprise inspection there soon. The National Red Cross will also expand programs to allow people to donate blood for themselves if they need surgery. Critics say the organization should have been telling people long ago their own blood is safer than using the current pool system of donation.
You're getting blood from possibly as many as 10 or 15 people in a 3-pint transfusion. And so any one of these people may have slipped through an imperfect system.
Each Red Cross Center will be shut down temporarily on a staggered basis to phase in the new centralized procedures. The Red Cross has asked surrounding centers to increase their inventory of blood so no one has to go without it during an emergency. Dan?
Edie Magnus, thanks. A development in the case of 2 children who pricked themselves with a used needle at a Chicago hospital. The hospital now confirms that a needle, possibly the one in question, tested positive for the AIDS virus. Both children are now taking the AIDS treatment AZT as a precaution. The family is suing the hospital. Negotiations are underway for a new compromise version of a civil rights bill, a version that President Bush won't veto. The bill is supposed to give women and minorities the right to sue employers for damages in cases of job discrimination. But the latest so-called compromise is infuriating women, among others. From Capitol Hill, Bob Schieffer has the latest on this. Bob, good evening.
Dan, it won't be announced for a day or so, but House Speaker Foley and his top lieutenants agreed privately tonight to modify and soften this year's version of the Civil Rights Bill. It is a modification, however, that may not last long because in trying to make the bill more acceptable to business and Southerners, they may have made it unacceptable to one of the main groups they were trying to help, women. At any rate, here are the changes they're talking about. Eliminate the practice of giving racial minorities what some see as special considerations on hiring and aptitude tests. Give those people who believe they have lost jobs through reverse discrimination or quota hiring the same right to sue as victims of conventional discrimination. And clearly the most controversial change, a cap of $150,000 would be placed on damages that juries could award victims of sexual discrimination, mostly women, even though victims of racial discrimination could still collect unlimited sums.
I didn't come to Congress to trade women out. I came to Congress to get women into the mainstream. And I think that that's ridiculous.
The real problem now is the Democrats still don't have the votes to override a presidential veto, and the White House still promises one. So if women turn against the bill too, the odds are greater than ever that it will ever become law. Dan?
Thanks, Bob. Growing numbers of Americans are being squeezed on health care. Costs are going up. Some companies and corporations are charging workers more for coverage and cutting back benefits, especially benefits to retired people. Now, thousands of retired workers from Eastern Airlines are worrying that they'll lose health care coverage entirely. Business correspondent Ray Brady reports.
They cheered when Martin Shagru took control of bankrupt Eastern Airlines a year ago. But today, as former workers crowded into Manhattan bankruptcy court, they were angry. Shagru wants to pay off the bankrupt airline's creditors by terminating health benefits for as many as 20,000 Eastern retirees.
It's absolutely disgraceful. Something that I worked for 25 years, and when I retired, they promised me that we would be insured until we were 65.
While Eastern owes more than $2 billion, the crippled airline has only $125 million left. Each creditor would get less than 3 cents per dollar owed. But Eastern's retirees say without benefits, the results for them would be devastating. Bill Persinger's wife has cancer. Without chemotherapy, she'll die. But now there may be no money to pay for it.
There's no one that will insure us. We've talked and nobody will even talk to us.
What's more, some 10,000 Eastern retirees are under age 65, unable to get Medicare. People like 63-year-old Van Martz. He's had 2 heart attacks. His wife's helpless from Alzheimer's. Nearly all his money's gone to doctors and hospitals.
You see your wife falling apart the way she did there, you'd do anything too. Yeah.
Eastern says that legally the creditors are entitled to be paid off before the workers. Still, Shagru recently asked that his own pay be raised to $50,000 a month. Partly, say retiree lawyers, to pay for his medical insurance. But ask Eastern workers, who pays our medical bills?
We're just going to have to bite the bullet, I guess. I don't know.
With the economy slow, more companies may be going under, meaning many more workers may be asking the question, what's fair? For a bankrupt company to pay off those to whom it owes money, or to pay those who say they're owed for years of service to the company? Ray Brady, CBS News, New York.
A school campus in Pahokee, Florida, is the latest scene of a deadly shootout involving kids with guns. During a school break today, an 18-year-old student shot and wounded 2 classmates he had apparently argued with last week, and he shot and killed a 15-year-old girl. She was a bystander who had nothing to do with the argument. For all the recent talk about gun control, many states are making it easy to pack a pistol and even legal to conceal it. Scott Pelley has the latest case in point.
Across the nation, the handgun is going undercover. Because of new legislation, citizens in a growing number of states are being allowed to carry concealed pistols. It is a trend made popular by people who fear rising crime. This week, Texas will consider its version of a bill, and that worries state law enforcement.
With the ready access to a weapon, I think the level of violence is going to increase, and increase significantly.
33 states now permit concealed weapons. Most have restrictions. But in 13 states, the gun owner isn't even required to show that he needs the gun for protection.
There's no other reason generally for a handgun except to kill.
The Texas Senate passed the measure despite appeals from the families of slain police officers.
People shouldn't carry guns. Too many people out there now carrying guns that shouldn't have guns.
Typical of the bill's supporters is jewelry store owner Hannah Nichols.
I think the crime rate is so terrible out there that we all need a gun, especially in my line of business.
At a time of increasing support for federal gun control, such as the Brady bill, critics say states like Texas are undermining progress against handgun violence.
We need to move in the direction of having fewer guns, and as a result of having fewer guns, have a reduced level of violence.
The Texas Senate passed the bill the same day slain police officers were honored on the Capitol steps. The House begins debate this week. Governor Ann Richards has not decided whether she will sign the bill, allowing Texans to legally join the thousands now packing a hidden pistol. Scott Pelley, CBS News, Dallas.
Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, a landmark law grants Soviets the freedom to leave. And in Eye on America, long limos and big raises for corporate brass, pink slips for employees.
I just read something new. If your athlete's foot won't go away, you could have more than athlete's foot. You could also have a secondary yeast infection. That's right, yeast. It burns and itches just like athlete's foot. To solve this problem, you need Mycotin.
Only Mycotin cures both athlete's foot and secondary yeast infections with miconazole.
Oh, thanks. So why treat only half your problem?
Step up to the cure. Step up to the Mycotin.
When you buy Valvoline motor oil, you get quality, high performance, protection, and now, for a limited time only, great taste. It's Valvoline's 125th birthday, and right now when you buy 12 quarts of Valvoline and buy 12 cans of any Coca-Cola product, we'll pay for the Coca-Cola product. People who know use Valvoline. With other motor oils, you just won't get the great taste of Coca-Cola Classic.
The Soviet legislature today approved one of President Gorbachev's most fundamental reforms, granting Soviet citizens the right to travel abroad and to immigrate. Among other things, this law is designed to meet President Bush's terms for easing restrictions on U.S.-Soviet trade despite Gorbachev's crackdown in the Baltic states. Anthony Mason reports.
At Moscow airport, Mikhail and Alice Sergeyevna strain for one last glimpse of their son Andrei and his family as they head off to Germany. He is my only son, Alla says, and he's leaving. Until today, strict Soviet travel laws meant it would be difficult for Andrei's relatives to see him again anytime soon. We just want to be able to come and go, says Andrei's sister-in-law. Why can't we buy a ticket and just go? This morning, after 2 years of debate, the Soviet legislature finally passed a landmark bill that will allow just that. But the freedom to travel law won't take effect for 18 months. Soviet officials say it'll take that long to find the $20 billion needed to print new passports, add more customs officials, and more international flights. But for the Soviets, the greater cost may well be in brain power. Even the Soviet news agency TASS admits that more than 1.5 million people are waiting to leave the country. They wait outside Western embassies every day. Some outside the German visa office have been waiting 2 weeks. I have one child, Rika says. It's just me and my daughter. But I've decided nothing good is going to happen in this country. But with the West already facing a flood of Eastern European immigrants, Soviets are finding they're not always welcome.
Some Western countries are refusing to take us. That's the problem for us now.
Immigration rules have already been greatly relaxed in the era of perestroika, but travel abroad still requires official approval, often months in coming. President Gorbachev supports the new law, recognizing its passage could bring U.S. trade benefits. And sponsors of the bill suggest Soviets have nothing to fear from a brain drain.
The people will come back with new experience and with new knowledge and will do many very good things.
Soviet travelers will have to wait while their legislators work out the fine print of their new freedoms, but then waiting is something they're used to. Anthony Mason, CBS News, Moscow.
The U.S. Army has concluded that a computer foul-up is to blame for a Patriot missile failure in the deadliest Scud missile attack of the Gulf War. 28 Americans were killed when the Iraqi missile hit a barracks near Dhahran, Saudi Arabia. No Patriot was fired. At first, the Army said it was because the Scud broke up in flight. But now investigators say that isn't true, that the Patriot's tracking system never picked up the Scud. They say the computer problem was later corrected. President Bush is taking a tolerant view of what's called post-war justice in Kuwait. 5 men were sentenced to jail yesterday, allegedly for collaborating with Iraqi conquerors. One got 15 years, even though his only known offense was wearing a Saddam Hussein T-shirt. A spokesman for Mr. Bush said today that while there may be problems, on the whole, the Kuwaitis are, quote, doing pretty well. Tonight, the president himself called on Kuwaitis to, and I quote again, extend a fair trial to everyone and be as compassionate as they can, unquote. An American bear became a British knight today. General Norman Schwarzkopf received the title and a medal from Queen Elizabeth as she visited an Air Force base in Florida. Later, in the pouring rain, the Queen and the honorary knight commander took a ride in a Humvee. Schwarzkopf said Her Majesty is a lovely lady.
You know, there's nothing square about prunes. These Sunsweet pitted prunes are not only irresistibly sweet and bursting with flavor, they're also perfectly round. Only one prune tastes Sunsweet.
Perhaps you're losing a little money on annual credit card fees. Perhaps you should use the card that charges no annual fee. And keep your money where it belongs. It pays to discover.
Through the cold, in the heat, there is a passion that drives the people of GM. Improving Chevrolets, Pontiacs, Oldsmobiles, Buicks, Cadillacs, and GMC trucks, so that today, 95% of their owners would recommend one. With 99 models redesigned and engineered, GM is putting quality on the road.
If you love your pet, watch this. We'll prove that you can keep fleas and ticks off your dog or cat with Hart's Blockade. Fleas are all over this untreated lab dish. We've sprayed the left side of this dish with Hart's Blockade, while the right side remains untreated. Watch how Blockade repels the fleas. They literally jump to the untreated side. Ticks normally want to crawl to the top, as they do in this untreated tube. See how the Blockade-treated cap of this tube repels ticks? They stay at the bottom. Block fleas and ticks from your pet with Hart's Blockade.
What would you do if you thought your boyfriend was married? She hired a detective and invited 48 Hours along. A special edition Wednesday.
As you know, America is in the middle of a recession. Businesses are scaling back. Some workers are losing their jobs. Others taking pay cuts. Tough times for everybody. Well, not quite everybody. In tonight's Eye on America, Eric Ingberg shows you the view from the top of the corporate ladder.
From up there in the executive suites, the buzzwords keep coming.
We must continue to reduce costs.
Downsize, streamline, be competitive.
We've got to get more output per worker.
But when it comes to what the boss is paid...
How can an executive have the right to make this much money when everyone else is hurting?
A list of CEO pay compiled by Business Week was topped by United Airlines Chairman Stephen Wolf at $18 million last year. Apple's John Scully was next at $17 million, then Reebok's Paul Fireman at $15 million. Overall, pay to the captains of U.S. business spurted 7% as profits fell across the economy.
Whether it's cars or some other business, the rules have gotten simple. When times are good, the salaries of chief executives rise. When times are bad, the salaries of chief executives also rise. And many people are wondering why.
I think it's ridiculous. I don't think any one individual is worth that to any company.
At UAW Local 7 in Detroit, they are wondering and angry.
We have so many people that's laid off because of the recession that no way in the world that they can live hardly.
These 3 Chrysler workers were among the thousands laid off in a year when the company's profits fell by 80%. The bad year didn't prevent Chairman Lee Iacocca from getting a hefty raise to $4.5 million, mostly stock. Chrysler also bought 2 houses he wanted to sell for $1.6 million. Iacocca declined to be interviewed, as did all 10 on the list of highest paid CEOs. Multi-million-dollar pay deals are now so common that American CEOs average 85 times the salaries of the average factory worker. By comparison, Japanese bosses settle for 17 times worker pay, Germans 23.
Now it seems even more egregious when there are so many people out of work, when wage levels for the average worker, are stagnating, and in many ways living standards have been declining.
Good morning, new caller.
There are some Fortune 500 CEOs who don't want to play the megabuck game.
We'll see you after lunch.
Ken Iverson, the maverick and sometimes controversial president of Nucor Steel, may be the lowest paid. His base salary is $256,000. He eats lunch at Phil's, a neighborhood deli, because there's no executive dining room. His bonus is tied to the company's performance.
If this company doesn't have a good year and doesn't make much of a profit, how much of a bonus do you get?
0.
Iverson, who doesn't even have a private parking space, says the company's refusal to lavish huge perks and pay on executives sends the right signal to employees.
Do you think it really returns something to you in terms of a better company, better productivity?
Oh, no question about it. Not only better productivity, but in better loyalty.
It's not just workers who are questioning CEO pay. The ultimate owners, the stockholders, are muttering about things like the $11 million Chairman Rand Ariskog got from ITT in a so-so year for his company.
I've been a shareholder for a number of years, and their stock has not increased as much as his salary has.
Still, some analysts, noting the pressures of the job, defend the need for big CEO pay incentives.
The stakes are much higher for CEOs. Top-level managers can literally create or destroy billions of dollars worth of wealth.
Such arguments don't cut much with Marvin Bandemer, laid off from his Chrysler assembly plant for a year and a half. He and his wife Sharon saw their income cut in half overnight. At the least, he says, Lee Iacocca ought to put his $4 million income back into the company at a time it's losing money.
It's not just the auto industry. A lot of industries in this country are hurting.
I'd like to say a lot of them are, yes. But again, too, there's...
And the bosses aren't taking the cuts.
There is no guilt. They don't share the guilt. It's a question of morals. Are they willing to accept their moral obligation? The answer is no.
The dignity of work, the idea that the boss counted but so did the worker, was a very American idea. There are reasons to fear it could be a dying idea if the boss keeps counting for so much more than everyone else. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Detroit.
Coming up next, Major League hecklers and playing hardball.
If you're looking for a great vacation, I've got just the place. Take a 3, 4, or 7-day fun ship vacation on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
Sure, I want my family to eat healthy. Doesn't everyone? And I trust Pam to help.
Look at all the fat and calories butter, margarine, and oil add compared to Pam.
That's why we're Pam people.
No stick Pam. It's the healthier way to cook.
If you're looking to maintain regularity, look here. There's a drug-free way to do it, and Kellogg's All Brand can be an important part, because a high-fiber diet, including Kellogg's All Brand, can give you the fiber you need to help stay regular, drug-free. And All Brand goes a lot better with berries. A high-fiber diet and Kellogg's All Brand for drug-free regularity.
If there's one thing you can count on, it's the fun here. Got it. And something else you can count on. Depend Elastic Leg Undergarments. Now more than ever, you can join the fun without a worry. Because Depend Elastic Leg Undergarments have a unique protection system called Absorb Lock. It locks in 25% more. And only Depend has it. So don't miss the fun. Get back into life. With Depend. With Absorb Lock protection.
I've made many vague predictions about faraway places. I've always wanted to make one that can be verified. They've finally given me my chance.
On CBS This Morning.
Major League Baseball sells itself and is sold by television as a wholesome family All-American game, but increasingly violence and foul-mouthed hooliganism are the reality of Major League ballparks among fans and players. Bob McEwen looks at how the field of dreams is becoming the field of screams.
Since the Canseco's going over to the stands here. I don't know what he's doing.
There are those who simply chalked it up to bad manners when Oakland's Jose Canseco got into a shouting match with a fan who said he'd tell the slugger's wife about an alleged visit with Madonna.
There's something going on.
But the rash of altercations between baseball players and spectators recently indicates that both sides have been showing a lot less restraint. In Cleveland, Indian outfielder Albert Bell, a recovering alcoholic, fires at a heckler who invites him to a keg party. John Crook of Philadelphia is taunted after a drunk driving incident following his bachelor party left 2 teammates seriously hurt. In Cincinnati, Reds pitcher Rob Dibble, upset by his own performance, throws into the stands, nailing a kindergarten teacher 400 feet away.
These guys are making tons of money. They should be able to control their emotions and their feelings.
It's a litany which leads some to believe there's been a fundamental change in the relationship between baseball heroes and the people who pay to watch them play.
With the spiraling astronomical salaries that these people are getting, the gap between fan and player has widened greatly.
Come on, throw the ball! You know, anything close to the wall, you know, I don't know, throw some beer on them, whatever.
Then it becomes personal. When they start throwing stuff, I cease becoming being a ball player, and I take it personal.
And baseball's commissioner says there's a fine line between freedom of expression and fan abuse.
What the players are concerned about is abuse that incites activity and is disruptive and goes beyond accepted norms, and that kind of abuse the law enforcement people will deal with.
When Darryl Strawberry returned to Shea Stadium with the Los Angeles Dodgers for the first time, he didn't exactly get a warm welcome home.
Darryl being pelted with strawberries tonight.
But he responded by belting a home run and turning the boos to cheers. It was the kind of storybook grace under pressure by both player and fans which once characterized the sport of baseball, but of which there seemed precious little in recent weeks. Bob McEwen, CBS News, New York.
That's part of our world tonight. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. See you tomorrow. Good night.
I told Ellen, don't marry him. He will never take you anywhere.
He never tries anything new.
Ellen was so shy. She wasn't much of a dancer either. Bob is no Don Juan.
This year, come to life in Hawaii.
Since that trip to Hawaii, they haven't been the same.
A lot of you insist on eating wheat thins and oat thins because they taste good. But the whole idea behind these crackers is that you can eat them without feeling guilty. That's why they're baked, not fried. I mean, eat them because they're delicious, and you miss the whole point.
When you smiling.
It's hard to smile when your teeth need help. Original Milk-Bone and Tartar Control biscuits help you take care of your dog's teeth. Give your dog something to smile about.
When you smiling.
Reintroducing a glorious name for a glorious new automobile. The 1992 Buick Roadmaster. With its powerful V8 performance and the security of its driver's airbag, ABS brakes, and full perimeter frame, Roadmaster is perhaps the best value in an American luxury sedan. Roadmaster also delivers something only a Buick can deliver. Buick quality.
This is the one you don't want to miss. Sears Home Improvement Sale, and the savings are big. Save $250 on this 12.5 horsepower Craftsman 2 tractor with 5 speeds and 38-inch cutting deck. This Craftsman half-horsepower garage door opener is at a great price. And when the pros from Sears install it, it's even a better value. So don't miss the home improvement sale right now at Sears.
Eye on America's immigrants. This man was shot crossing the border illegally. Some say it's an invasion. He deserved it. What do you think? The story tomorrow on the CBS Evening News.
This is CBS.
Good evening, I'm Vicki Yates.
And I'm Chris Clark. Coming up next on News Channel 5, 6 o'clock report.
Education reform is getting one step closer to becoming reality. I'm Lydia Linker. I'll have a live report.
Angry residents hope someone can find a different home for these misplaced houses.
And see where yard